We are continuing our short series of worst cities in America for blacks. And today we're looking at where I'm from, the West Coast. On the West Coast, there are two running themes. One, of course, is unaffordability, and number two is wide-ranging racial disparities in some of the most progressive of states. Hi, my name is Jared, and welcome to The Five, where we share 5 interesting things in black culture and society in every episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notified when we release new video. In 24/7 Wall Street's 15 worst cities in America for blacks, there was only one city in the West Coast. And that city is actually number 1 on our list. But we'll start our list at number 5 and go down to 1. And at number 5, we have Portland, Oregon. At a glance, this very liberal city might appear to be a safe haven for progress. But a look at the racial economic disparities makes it clear that the city has a long way to go to close the racial wealth gap. Blacks only make up 6% of the Portland population, but are vastly overrepresented on every negative statistic, including poverty and unemployment. According to a recent report by the Portland Housing Bureau, the median black household income is just shy of $30,000, while it is $65,000 for whites. The report concluded that there is no neighborhood in the city where an average black family can afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. Home ownership is another statistic where black families have taken a big hit. In 1970, the black home ownership rate in Portland was 47%. By 2017, the rate was down to 28%. That translates to an almost 40% decline in home ownership for blacks in Portland. Whites, in comparison, have an approximately 66% home ownership rate in the city. While the unemployment rate for whites stood at 4.9% pre-pandemic, the rate was 11% for blacks. At number 4, Seattle, Washington. The story of Seattle, the largest city in the America's Pacific Northwest, is much too similar to that of Portland, Oregon. It's a coastal city experiencing a technologically driven boom economy with a low black population at about 7%. However, much like Portland, the racial economic disparity is glaring. This disparity has been exacerbated by rapid gentrification that has swept through the city in the last decade. The median income for a black household in Seattle is $42,000, while the white median household income is at $105,000. The home ownership rate for blacks in Seattle is 28%, while it is 65% for whites. Only 28% of blacks have a bachelor's degree in the city, while almost 70% of whites have a BA. And while blacks make up only 7% of the population, they account for 30% of the population living below the poverty line. And number 3, Stockton, California. Stockton, California is famous for all the wrong reasons except for one. This Northern California city was recently named one of the most diverse big cities in America. Before that, it was also called the most dangerous and the most miserable city in America. Stockton has long been plagued by high unemployment rates, high crime rates, and financial woes that led it to file for bankruptcy in the beginning of the past decade. The black population makes up 12% of Stockton, but 33% of the poverty in the city. Following the 2008 financial crisis, Stockton led the country in foreclosures and home values dropped an average of 40%. The home ownership rate currently in Stockton for all races is one of the lowest rates in the country. Although this city has had its fair share of trouble, it has also gone through a revitalization in recent years. We hope to see it fall off this list very soon. Number 2, Salt Lake City, Utah. You might be surprised to find Salt Lake City on this list. After all, the black population in the city is only around 2%. But we added it on this list for 3 reasons. First, the city has one of the lowest black median income for a major metro area at only $27,000 annually. Second, the black median income saw a decline of 30% from 2010 to 2016, by far the largest decline in any metro area. It went from $39,000 to $27,000 in just 6 years. Lastly, Salt Lake City has one of the lowest home ownership rates in the country for blacks at only 28%. And at number 1, the worst city on the West Coast for blacks, Fresno, California. Fresno is the only city on the West Coast to make it on 24/7 Wall Street's 15 worst cities in America for blacks, and it's for good reason. The city of only about 500,000 has a 5% black population. That population has a staggering unemployment rate of 22%. The city in general has a high unemployment rate for other races as well, but the white unemployment rate comes in at around 9%. In Fresno, old segregation policies are still evident with most of the black population living in West Fresno. The black median income is only $26,000, which is 42% of white income. That low median income leads to one of the lowest home ownership rates we have come across for blacks, which stands at 25%. About 41% of Fresno's black population lives in poverty, which is more than 3 times the white poverty rate. According to a recent study by the California Environmental Protection Agency, life expectancy in Fresno varies as much as 20 years between the city's richest and poorest neighborhoods. So for the last video, we were actually planning on tackling the Midwest, but we realized we had already done that. Our original video of the 5 worst cities in America for blacks is actually the 5 worst cities in the Midwest for blacks. That's because all of the 5 worst cities in America are actually located in the Midwest. So go watch that video if you haven't yet. That's it for this episode of The 5. Actually, you know what? This series of The 5. We'll be back with another episode in Black culture and society.